trips. I flew in from Cayo Coco into Havana, and that's where they took me, in that cigar shop.
Okay. Yeah, when we went there, it was kind of weird watching all of the non-U.S. folks just walk off the boat. But we got
where they wanted.
Right. We got herded into these groups.
It's a shame. It's such a shame, guys. Such a shame.
It is, man. It really is. Willis, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? I wasn't sure if y'all were
doing all right.
Interviewing somebody or what. So muted up.
Yeah. Willis, this is Matteo. Matteo, this is Willis.
Hey, Matteo. Good to meet you, sir. Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good.
How's it going,
Willis, Matteo sponsors private trips to Cuba.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. I heard that, and that's the discussion I heard when I joined, and so I was like, let me mute, because it sounds like this is an interview going on. So,
Right.
Yes.
So I reached out to him and asked him to join. Was it yesterday or today? It was today.
It was today.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was today. I just didn't have enough time to let everybody know.
Okay.
You know, but we have a group text chat.
Yeah. Yvette said she was gonna be about 35 minutes late.
Yeah, so I'm getting ready to text them and let them know.
What's up, Jay?
Not much. How's it going, man?
Hey, it's going good, bro. Going good. I can't complain. Dealing with this heat and this Sahara dust, you know.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard about that for the first time just this week.
Yeah, it's an annual thing.
My wife lives in Havana.
Okay.
And she was talking about this, and I thought, I've never heard of that before. I've heard of it going across the channel to Sicily, Italy.
Right.
Because my parents are Italian, but I never heard of it crossing the ocean to get to the Americas.
I know. When I first heard about it, I was like, yeah, come on, this is a joke. No way dust is going to come that far and not be wet and turn into mud and sink, right?
But this isn't the first time.
No, it's an annual thing around this time of the year.
Nature's something else.
Yes.
Oh. And where's that gentleman from?
I'm in Dallas.
Dallas.
Yes.
Yeah. So literally we're all over the country. You've got folks on the East Coast, Northeast like me, Southeast like Jay, South, down South like Willis, and we have 2 West Coast folks in Oakland that will, just one guy in Oakland who joins us. And then we have folks from all over the place that kind of pop in.
Have you guys ever met in person?
No.
Looking forward to that day.
Yep. It's going to be a lot of fucking cigar smoke that day, baby.
It is.
Should plan a bus tour to Cuba when all this ends. All this hostility ends. Not the virus, the hostility.
Yes, exactly.
That would be great.
It would be nice if we could all do that, man.
It would. It really would.
You know what I mean? Plan it out far enough, man, so we could just have a nice trip. I think we'd have to fly out of Canada, or we could fly like maybe out of one of the Caribbean islands or Mexico.
Well, if all this hostility ends, you can fly out of wherever you want to fly out of.
Okay.
Right? If there is no hostility and you're free to go, then you can fly from like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Howdy, sir.
How you doing? My name is Ahmad. I appreciate
up,
it. How's it going? Salute to everybody. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. See, I don't think it's going to end anytime soon, man.
We'll see what the next guy does.
Right. I tell you one thing though. Sheridan is pretty pissed off with this administration because they
Sheridan the hotels.
Yes, they have been working to get hotels in Cuba for the last 4 years. And then they were told yesterday that the 8th, that they had to pull out of Cuba.
Yep.
They're pissed. And
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of investment. They put a lot of investment over there.
Billions of dollars that they put into making that happen. And now they have to pull out. And as Americans, we know it's not the president that runs a country, it's business that runs a country.
Exactly.
So the minute he does this to 1 or 2 more hoteliers, they're gonna be like, no. So
yeah, I figure he's gonna ask them to pull out so he can bring in his stuff.
Ooh,
That's
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's what I thought from day one. It's like, hey, okay, he's gonna pull them out and then bring in his own.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, cuz? This is the first time I see you.
What's up, fam?
Ain't
What's
nothing,
up,
baby.
man?
Ain't nothing.
So Willis, what you smoking, bro?
I got an Ashton today, man.
Okay.
Ashton?
Yes.
That's one of the first cigars that I smoked way back in the early '90s. I really enjoyed the Ashtons.
Yeah, I hadn't had one in a while, and I was going through my humidor, and I was like, I got a bunch of loose ones in there, just one.
That looks like the old school one.
Yes, it is very much so.
Now everything's changed.
Yes.
What about you, Ahmad? What you smoking, man?
Now, I'm on a Florida Dominica.
Okay.
Yeah, a little Connecticut wrapper. It's pretty good. It's pretty tasty. I'm still a rookie in this thing, man. So.
Can I see the band on that?
Huh?
Can I see the band on that?
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, not a Florida Dominica.
Is that the red one?
Florida Butilla, something like that.
Just hold the band up to the camera, bro.
Yeah, relax, man. I'm getting
I
there.
don't know that
Relax.
one.
Yeah.
I got Arturo about this one. I heard this was a marathon, so not a sprint. So I'll be here.
Yeah. So we still have about maybe 8 to 10 more people who are going to join. But we could go ahead and get started. I started recording our session so that I could post it to our blog, and then our members could join. Corey, what's up, bro? What's up, Corey?
How you guys doing? I'm just heading out to dinner, but I saw your tweet about having an amazing guest, so I had to see what's going on.
Man. We have Matteo Speranza with us, and he hosts tours to Cuba.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen his tweets and his blog.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I've read your stuff. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So we could go ahead and get started. And like I said, I started recording so that our members could see it on the blog at HerfSociety.com. So, Matteo, tell me about yourself, sir. How did you get into cigars?
In the early '90s, I worked I'm in the restaurant business. I worked in a restaurant that was next door to a cigar shop. And during those days, my parents had split, and my dad was traveling to Cuba on a regular basis. He gifted me a box of cigars. And with that box of cigars, I began smoking and trying different cigars from the cigar shop. And that's where it began. I found I really enjoyed it. And at that time, I smoked cigars from everywhere, just to get an understanding of the different nuances that the different cigars from different countries have. And then I settled on Cuban cigars.
That's a great story, man. You know, everyone has their way that they enter the cigar culture. And having your father onboard you into cigar smoking is pretty cool, man. It's really pretty cool. So tell me about that transition, if there was a transition from being a restaurateur to hosting these trips.
I'm still a restaurateur.
Okay.
My day job is still in the restaurant business. My downtime is dedicated to the tours. I don't know if I mentioned, I have a Cuban wife. We have a home there. And so I travel, it takes me 3 hours to get there from here. And if I have something booked, then that's when I take my trip.
That's beautiful. So you are a Canadian citizen, so you have the ability to visit the island in ways that we as Americans can't. Tell me about the Cuba that you see when you go. What's it like there? Because some of us have been and others have not. So kind of paint a picture for us what Cuba for you is.
All right. I was a pretty nervous sort, perfectionist. Stupid things bothered me. When I started I started traveling to Cuba for the cigars, and then kept going back for the people. It made me realize that my problems are not really problems. I don't have to worry about putting food on my table. I don't have to worry about a roof over my head. They do. And they're happy. They might not show that they're sad if they're sad, but they seem content. And with all that I have, at times I wasn't. So they changed me as a person. It was the reason that I started the blog. People have a misconception of Cuba. They think many people think Cuba is beautiful beaches, bad food, and whores. That's not the case. Cuba has a lot more to offer. So I started my blog so I can show the public, whoever cared to listen, that there's more to Cuba than those three things.
That's beautiful. You know, I'm not sure if you saw my avatar when you joined, but I host a podcast called Cigars and Crypto.
Yes, and I saw that.
I interview a lot of people who build things. Some things are physical, some things are digital. I like talking to people who see a need and step into the space to do something about it. The way you feel about Cuba is the way I felt about Cuba the only time I've ever been there. I've only been once. And when you hear what's said about Cuba on the news, and then when you go through customs and you get out and you look around, you're like, this isn't nearly as bad as people say it is in the news. Every single person who saw us greeted us. They were nice, they smiled, they spoke. It was cool because some folks tried to practice their English, you know what I mean? And gave me an opportunity to practice my horrible Spanish with them, you know? And as far as the food goes, bro, it was amazing. We went to this place, it was a 4-story restaurant down this long cobblestone street. And the stairwells are narrow, and the kitchen is like on the 2nd floor. And then you walk all the way up to the top, and they have these larger rooms where big groups can sit and eat. And they brought out the food on big plates, like family style. Man, that was some of the best food I've ever eaten in my life. Absolutely amazing. And they make sure that you are full when you leave. And they make sure that you are happy with what you're eating when you leave. And the idea that Cuba is some barren wasteland or some violent, desolate place is just not true. And so
Far from the truth.
I'm completely aligned with where you are on your views of Cuba, and I commend you for starting a blog to show people the truth about Cuba. So
now, there are other truths to show.
right.
I care not to show them. I'm not political.
Okay.
I have my opinion, but I don't view that opinion on my blog. And I verbalize it to very few people that I don't know.
Right.
Because it's a very touchy topic.
Right. And that I understand. But all countries have issues. All countries have problems. No leader is perfect. No government is perfect. Some are worse than others. Some are better than others.
Yes, but the Cuban situation has been in existence for more than half a century. Any other country, it could be a term, a presidential term or two, or a decade or two. Cuba's been in this situation and in the middle of this conflict for more than half a century. So it's unique in that respect. Now, you know, I would not voice my political views
Right.
because it may offend certain people and start an argument.
Right. And I understand that.
Even with people that I know that travel to Cuba and I see in Cuba.
Right.
Not with Cubans. With Cubans, that's a different thing.
Right.
But with people that come to visit Cuba, they have an opinion of the government in Cuba. I will not have this discussion with them, especially Cuban Americans.
Right. Right. They have a different perspective. They have a very personal perspective, and they see and experience Cuba the way non-Cubans could not understand.
In the end, who am I?
Right.
To voice my opinion to them if I had not, if I hadn't lived that.
Right.
I was never there.
Right.
When you were disallowed to do almost everything. I wasn't there for that.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I say no, but I can't. So I'd rather not have the discussion.
And I respect that. So tell me about Cuban cigar culture. Because for people who have not been to Cuba, or even people who have been to Cuba once or twice like myself, Cuban cigar culture is vast and rich. But as someone who has been a lot more than most of the folks on this call, tell me about Cuban cigar culture as you see it.
Well, as far as the world of tobacco goes, Cuba's a paradise. Now, for me, you might know people that have traveled to other tobacco regions, and everything is pristine and everything is beautiful, but it's different in Cuba. I don't know what aspect do you want me to. I mean, as I told you, a day is not enough to visit all the cigar shops and enjoy them.
Yeah.
When I go out to Pinar del Rio, where the tobacco is grown, I'm the happiest when I'm there. There's just so much going on, so many people I know, so much to see, so much to learn. Because I certainly don't know everything, and I will never know everything. But to be able to talk to people, great people, knowledgeable people that will give you their time, and to learn from them. To me, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate. And they're very genuine, regular, normal farmers. They're just regular people. You know, if and I've done this on more than one occasion. You give a farmer a hammer, you've saved this is you've saved them. You can't find a hammer, a carpentry hammer. You can't find one in Cuba right now. You can't find one in Havana. I've had to gift a hammer to a couple of farmers in Pinar del Rio, and to see the look on their face, to me that it's priceless. It's priceless. Imagine you can't find a hammer. A hammer.
Yeah. So, you know, you said something earlier that is actually an excellent segue into my next question. You talked about traveling to the farm,
Traveling to?
traveling to the farms
Yes.
to meet good people. Tell us about your tour. Tell us about the trips that you sponsor.
Well, my tours will be catered to how the client wants it. There will be questions I will ask. An obvious one: where will you stay? Do you have accommodations? Do you need accommodations? What kind of transportation do you want? That depends on the amount of people. How do you want to eat? Where do you want to eat? Being a restaurateur, I love food. So I know the city of Havana for food better than I know my own city for food. As if you go on my blog, you'll see I do a lot of reviews of restaurants, and I post pictures of all the food, the menu, how many days length do you want it, how do you want to split it up, is there anything else you want to inject in the tour outside of tobacco? Because my knowledge of the city or the country isn't limited just to tobacco. I'm constantly learning about different things about Cuban history and its people. So that's sort of how it will work. Let's say you want to book a trip. So I'll ask you, how many are you? That's the first question. How many are you? Because that will determine what kind of transportation do I have to get. Then do you have a place to stay, or do you need a place to stay? I have different places that I use where people can stay. Casa particular, as they call it. So it's you're staying in someone's home. You have your separate entrance. You might have your own kitchen. You have your own space. And you know, the food part is like, how much do you want to eat? I mean, how do you want to eat? How much do you want to spend? What kind of food do you like? Are there any dietary restrictions? So basically, I charge a fee, not an extraordinary fee. I charge a fee, and I will make sure that you have the best time possible with that limited time that you have. And I won't take you to places because I'm going to turn a buck on it. Because a lot of people take you to places where they're going to catch a little bit of commission on the side. I don't do that. I don't need to do that. To me, it's my reputation.
So if someone wanted to book a trip with you, how would we reach out to you?
I could, you have my email. You can contact me through there.
Okay.
That's the easiest place.
Okay. We'll do that.
You know, I might not go on Twitter every day. So I might not see a message on Twitter.
Okay. What's your handle on Twitter?
Matteo Cigars, I believe.
Okay. All right. So we can follow, because most of us met on Twitter.
Okay.
So we'll follow you that way. And then when I transcribe this chat, I'll put that in the blog so that our members, perfect, thanks, Willis. I'll put that in the blog so that our members know to follow you also.
Thank you.
So what is your favorite thing about Cuba?
Besides the cigars?
Yes, besides the cigars.
Listen, I'm at heart, I'm a peasant. I like peasant food. I like humble, regular people. So for me, outside of the cigars, it's the people, the noise, the smells, the action in the street, all nothing illegal action. I'm talking about just they're very animated. Now, coming from Italy, okay, a little story. When I first started going to Havana, I stayed in a hotel. Do you recall the Capitolio, the Capitol building? Did you drive by that? So I stayed in that Central Park, in a hotel facing Central Park. My first time staying in Havana overnight. When I walked the streets, people screaming, yelling, somebody calling up to a balcony, somebody letting down a basket, they put something in there, and I go, I'm home. I'm home. This is like being in Italy. This is like being in a European country. I took to it like I was home. I loved it. I loved it. So if I had to say after the tobacco would be the people and what they give the city, because there's no other city like it. You know, you spent a little bit of time there, but the little time you spent there, you saw it, you felt it.
It was, other than the fact that I wanted to go there pretty much my entire adult life. Havana was just a beautiful city to me. And part of that was because most of that was because it's just beautiful. But part of it is because as Americans, we're told that Havana is so different. And there's nothing like waking up at 6 a.m, standing on the deck of the ship that you're cruising into Havana on, and seeing the Havana skyline to make you say, you know what?
Did you have tingles up your spine?
Yeah, I did. Man. I did, man. I was like, oh, shit.
I know that feeling. I'm getting it now thinking about it.
I couldn't even believe it, man. I took about 10 pictures of the skyline, and I just looked at it, and I was just like, I can't believe I'm here. You know, I can't believe I am actually here. I woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning because they said we were going to be pulling into the harbor at 6. And I went out on the deck.
Were you with your wife? Were you with your wife? Were
Yeah,
you with your wife? She didn't understand it, right?
No.
No, she didn't understand.
She's not
my wife hates me. My Cuban wife hates me. When I'm ready to go to the country, she hates me. Because she knows I just like I love it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do to stop me from going.
Right.
You can hate me. You can be pissed off at me, not talk to me. I'm going.
Right.
I'm going. I'm gonna spend my 2 nights there. I'll text you, but I'm going.
Right.
And she wouldn't dare. She wouldn't dare test me on it because she knows I'm gonna go. Yeah, it's does your wife smoke? No.
No.
Your wife doesn't smoke.
But you know what's crazy? It was my wife who booked the trip.
Oh, good. That's a nice woman to have because my wife allows me to go without giving me any grief because she knows it's something I love.
Right.
Your wife did it for you.
Yeah.
Because she knows it's something you love.
Yeah. And
That's when you know you got to keep her.
Right. She booked the trip, man, and she said, I got a surprise for you. And I was like, what? And she said, I'm taking you somewhere, because at the time we owned a travel agency. She said, I'm taking you somewhere, and it's somewhere that you've always wanted to go. So I thought we were going to like Machu Picchu or Teotihuacan or something like that, because I've always wanted to go there. And then when we got on the plane that morning and I realized we were flying into Tampa, I was like, okay, I've never wanted to go to Tampa. And then I thought, oh, well, maybe she's taking me to Ybor City for a week.
You mean you're at the airport and you don't know where you're going?
No, I didn't know where we were going until we got into Tampa. Wow. So I'm thinking we're renting a car or something. And so we get an Uber and I'm like, where are we going? And then I see these cruise ships. She knows I don't really like to cruise. I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? And she said, babe, tomorrow morning we'll be in Havana. I was like, oh, shit.
All of a sudden, you like cruises.
Yeah, man. And that was one of the best trips I ever had, man. There were so many cigar smokers on that boat, brother. And, they restrict you to the top deck so that you don't, bother other people. It was blazing hot, but they had umbrellas up there for you. And, they came around with cold drinks like every 10 minutes. And, man, I had such a good time.
Good.
Such a good time. So tell us where we can find your blog.
It's a long title.
Okay.
I remember at the time when I was trying to think of a name, it was hard because there was a lot of stuff I wanted to get in that name. So I'll give you the name. Besides all the HTTP, whatever. Cuban cigars, culture, lifestyle. I thought that pretty much said it all.
Okay. Indeed it does.
So if you punch in, because there's a lot of stuff on the blog that you can't find in other online. So if you punch that in, you should get something on the first page of a Google search.
Okay.
Just punch in all those words scrunched together.
Okay.
Actually, I take pride in finding something, posting something that I can't find online. Then I have my books that I bought in Cuba, and I find something through the book, something I can write about that particular space.
Right. So I want to open up the floor to our members.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you something now.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna go for dinner at 6 and be back around 6:30, 20 after 6.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So ask away.
Okay. So guys, do we have any questions for Matteo? Hey, Jamar, thanks for joining, man.
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Hey, Marcus.
We are with Matteo Speranza, and Matteo has a Cuban cigar lifestyle culture blog, and he also sponsors trips to Cuba. So,
okay.
yeah, so I'm gonna try to set something up for like maybe the beginning of next year, so we can, what I'm saying, the plane and get it cracking over there, man.
I texted the links to everybody in the chat. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, man. I've had a chance to go to Cuba once, but like I was saying before, man, we did it on a cruise, so you're really restricted in what you can do. But having a professional like Matteo to show you around Havana City would provide real value to any person that likes cigars.
Well, I have a quick question for you, if you don't mind, Matteo.
That's correct.
So the rumor is that because of the strained relationship between the United States and Cuba, that Cuba's cigars had declined over time as far as just like the cigar makers. Is that true?
From my experience, Cuba cigar, if we're going to go back, Cuban cigars had declined in the early 90s, mid 90s, due to a popularity that came out during that time. Supply and demand. Big demand and not enough people performing the supply. So the quality went down. They righted that, they fixed that, and by the late 90s, early 2000, they were once again putting out a good cigar. Then what happened in the 2010, 2011, they had 3, 4, 5 horrible years in a row, and the quality declined again. But lately, they've had 2, 3 good years in a row, and it looks like they're going to be having some good quality cigars once again. But we'll see what happens. You know, everything is always we'll see what happens. But there are better cigars coming out now than there were 6 or 7 years ago. Anything else you wanted to? Did that answer your question?
Yes, that absolutely answered my question. Thank you.
Did that jibe with something else that you got from someone else?
No, I just had heard that. I just had heard the you know, that it was that the quality, you know, kind of strained because of the relationship with the United States. But
not due to the relationship with the United States. It was due to a higher demand.
Okay.
And then they didn't have enough good rollers.
Okay.
To make that demand.
So hey, Matteo, if I heard you correctly, is it the growing process or was it the manufacturing process that fell off, or was it both because they were trying to rush it to get to market?
In the 90s, it was manufacturing.
Okay.
But as of late, it was in the fields. They just had some bad years, and they didn't have enough. Tobacco to keep up.
So let me ask a follow-up real quick, not to hijack the conversation too, and so does that mean that maybe Nicaragua or other places caught up with regard to the science behind it and or the rolling? So necessarily, did they raise up as well as Cuba declining at the same time?
I'm going to say that over the last 10, 20 years, the construction on non-Cuban cigars has been much better than Cuban cigars.
Okay. Gotcha.
They're working under better conditions. They're paying them better. They're happier. They're not restricted to politics, to inefficiencies. Whatever they need, they got it. Cuba's not like that. You would think that they would nurture something that brings them money. They don't.
Gotcha.
It's the growers that go out of their way to produce a good product with what they have.
And I'm sure you probably been maybe discussed this earlier. What good cigar brands do you recommend from Cuba, or just like mainstay cigar brands from Cuba?
Well, I would always ask what strength of cigar do you like? But if it was a personal choice, Boulevard, Sancho Panza. Across the board, I like H. Upman,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the Partagas. Monte Cristo used to be a favorite of mine, but they've fallen off.
Okay.
Sorry, did you get that? I had a blank screen.
Yeah, I heard exactly what you said. Thank you.
I'm a Bolivar fan myself, man.
Ramon Ayola is nice too. I like more the old school flavors. But what they've done is they've changed the liga, the blends of the cigars to appeal to the masses as opposed to the few. So they've taken a traditional Partagas or Monte Cristo and made it an everyday cigar. And that's not why I smoke the Partagas or Monte Cristo. But there are blends like Bolivar or Sancho Panza that have retained their old school flavors. And that's what I like.
Matteo, if no one else has any questions, I want to just take a moment to say thank you, sir. Thank you so much for responding to my request. I sent you an invite to join our call. Anytime you're free on a Saturday and you want some
Saturdays are difficult. I'm here because of coronavirus.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Otherwise, Saturday nights I'd be working.
Gotcha.
That's why I thought I'd take advantage.
Hey, Matteo, let me join in and jump in and say, too, we appreciate you sharing the knowledge and joining with our questions.
Yes.
I think this is phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, we do.
Hey, you know what? There's another thing I learned when I started smoking cigars. We're a different breed of people.
Yes. Yes.
And, I mean, nobody's swearing here, but I'll say there are a lot of assholes out there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong.
Hey, Matteo, say that
However,
for the people in the back that didn't hear you.
There are a lot of assholes out there.
Yep.
However, in general, cigar smokers, they're sharing people. They're good people. And so it gives me pleasure to share whatever I can with whoever wants to listen.
You always have a captive audience here, sir. And I want you to feel free.
When do you do the podcast?
Well, we can actually do the podcast whenever you like.
Oh, that's not at a particular time?
No, that's not at a particular time.
This one's every Saturday at 5.
Yeah, this is every Saturday at 5.
Okay.
And so what I can do is I'll reach out to you to find a day and time that's good for you. And then I'll just take 30 minutes of your time and we could just talk about your experiences, your trips, and your blog.
Okay. We'll do it. Well, we're not over yet today.
Right.
Like I said, I'll step out and have a bite to eat, but I'll come back.
You'll be more than welcome. We'll be happy to have you.
This way you'll have time to write down your questions.
There you go. We'll be happy to have you, man. I see we have Blake and Yvette who joined. Welcome.
Hey, Blake.
Happy to have you.
How's it going, Blake?
Good. I'm smoking Pappy Van Winkle Robusto.
Okay.
Oh, that's a nice name.
All right. Okay. Yvette, what you smoking?
I'm doing the Prohibition special here.
Okay.
PC, yeah.
PCCR or something like that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay. Round 2 for me today is the Prohibition PX99.
Whoa.
So
do you know that was the original shape that cigars were rolled in?
Really?
What do they call it, a double figurado?
Yeah.
That's the original shape of how cigars are rolled.
We have the co-owner of Prohibition Cigars who joins us normally every week. And we support him and patronize his business. And so on his website, he has the PX99. And so I ordered a 5-pack weeks ago. Looking forward to having another one.
Is it a strong cigar?
It's a medium full, but very flavorful for me.
Where's the leaf from?
Honestly, I don't know because he does not do normal blends. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's some kind of weird Mozambique, Cameroon, Honduran, Peruvian kind of thing. He goes out of his way to get weird blends and put them together. And that's why I like to support him.
Hey, wait, hey, said Noir, what you doing? A fusion cigar, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. And that's why I support him. Get tired of the same old, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen. Let me nod out.
All right.
We tap out.
Sure.
Enjoy your dinner.
I'll be back in about 20 minutes, half an hour.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining.
Okay.
See you later.
All right. Enjoy it. I'll see you in a bit.
All right.
Enjoy your dinner.
Yeah.